I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. As you very well know, the foreclosure action has been perpetrated against us in a tortuous, tormenting, nightmarish way by the city of New York and the Mellon Bank. And we protested in the year 2022, in the month of August, for 1 week in front of the Mellon Bank. And on one of those days, we took our school children over to the City Hall, and we stood on the steps of City Hall, and we asked Mayor Eric Adams if he would help us. All he had to do was just pick up the phone and tell the Mellon Bank to back off, to do not foreclose, do not crush that church, don't crush that community organization, don't crush that school. Let them continue to thrive. The little money that they owed you is peanuts, but he didn't do it. He wouldn't even come out, nor would he send anybody out to talk to us. This was back in August of 2022. And we have filed a suit, and a lawyer representing Eric Adams in the city of New York has been in contact with us, and they are continuing to plan to foreclose and to sell our property at auction. They still refuse to help. But I want to announce to you today the wrath of God is against Eric Adams, mayor of the city of New York, and Robin Vance, president of the Mellon Bank. Let me tell you what's going on with Eric Adams. An article was written, and it says that could the FBI's investigation send New York Mayor Eric Adams to prison? And I say yes. On the 2nd of November, the FBI agents executed a pre-dawn raid on the home of New York City Mayor's chief fundraiser, 25-year-old Brianna Suggs, seizing phones, an iPad, and documents. Agents also reportedly searched the house of a Turkish airline executive and Brooklyn construction company owned by Turkish immigrants that had fundraised for Mayor Eric Adams. Days later, agents approached Adams in the street as he was leaving a Manhattan fundraiser and asked his security guards to stand down, step aside. They got into an SUV with him and seized two iPhones and an iPad. They returned those devices after a few days. The seizures were a dramatic escalation into a federal investigation surrounding the mayor of the largest city in America. U.S. federal authorities are investigating whether Adams, in 2021 campaign, conspired to allegedly take money from the Turkish government in return for favors, including pressuring New York City fire chief to fast track the opening of the new Turkish consulate building in the city. No one, Adams included, has so far been charged with or accused of a crime. Adams, a former police officer himself, has strenuously denied the wrongdoing. We don't do quid pro quo. We follow the law, quote, he said. He said at a press conference on Tuesday. But I have to tell you, my friends, that this boy is through. He's toast. That's it. And he has been dealing with these Turkish immigrants and this Turkish construction company. It's a major firm. And a part of the article that we read and what we're now finding out, the reason why they took his iPad and took his iPhone is that the Turkish construction company donated through straw donors to Eric Adams' mayoral campaign. The employees of the Turkish construction company would donate money to Eric Adams, and the Turkish, if you will, construction company would pay the employees back. So really, it was the Turkish construction company that was donating, but use it because you can only donate so much money. You understand how donations are received in campaign financing. At any rate, he took a lot of money, but I have to tell you, that's not all he's taken. That boy's in trouble. I don't know if he's going to go to jail or not. He's a politician. He's going to be arrested. He's going to be indicted. That's going to happen. They're going to indict him. And well, let me say this: politicians are able to sell out other things. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll give up the Turkish immigrants, or he'll give up some other people to avoid being indicted, because he probably knows a lot of crime that's going on, but his career as a mayor is over with. And I'm rejoicing. I'm rejoicing because I asked him to help me. The same way he picked up the telephone and called the Brooklyn fire chief and said, give them that permit for their new, if you will, consulate here in New York City, in Brooklyn. I went down to City Hall and asked him to help me. He would not lift the finger to help me. So I'm rejoicing. I'm kind of at a place now where both of my enemies are in deep trouble. Robin Vince of the Mellon Bank's in deep trouble and very well may go to jail for tax evasion. Robin Vince, the president of the Mellon Bank, of the legacy tax issue and that goes on in the Frankfurt Bank, and who knows how much of that money was filtered to Robin Vince or to some of the employees. And Eric Adams, of course, I went and I asked him, all I had to pick up the phone, tell the Mellon Bank, let Pastor Manning's church live. Let those people live. Don't crush that church. And so I'm rejoicing. I'm rejoicing. Eric Adams has been a shady fella since day one. The other question I have about Eric Adams, and I think that perhaps, here's my speculation, and I'm going to let you go. My speculation is this, is that boy Bishop White, that faked that robbery of his church going back a year ago, the guy that drives around in a $500,000 Rolls Royce, he said when the robbers came into his church that day, between him and his wife, they had on $1 million worth of jewelry, and he did dress real fancy, I mean, just real out there. He said he and his wife had on $1 million worth of jewelry. The robbers took it, and he put in an insurance claim. He's been arrested and indicted for fraud. Here's what I believe took place, everybody. I believe that this Bishop White, who had this church of about 15 members, but yet said he had on $1 million worth of jewelry between him and his wife, I believe he gave Eric Adams up. Now, I can't prove that, but I believe that he did. I believe that he knew what Eric Adams was doing with regard to the Turkish construction company, because all politicians do that. They all do that. Everybody knows that, because running for office is very expensive. You got to have money. You got to have gobs of money, and you got to get it. And usually, campaign donation laws are designed in such a way that you can only get so much money. I believe that the reason why this information is now being made manifest is that this boy Bishop White, you see there, with the sunglasses on, told the authorities, I can give you the mayor if you'll let me go. That's why I could be wrong. I'm rejoicing nonetheless, but usually, campaign finance, everybody knows that politicians abuse campaign finance laws. Everybody knows that. Nobody says anything about it. Even the court systems and the judges and the campaign, they all know that politicians abuse campaign funding. But this boy, this Bishop White, I believe he gave Eric up. I believe, and I asked the question, was Eric Adams a closet homosexual? I raised the question, man, what on earth is Eric Adams doing having a pastor? And I'm not against small church. If you only got a few members, God bless you. Preach to those that you got. There was only 15 members in the church, and the guy had a Rolls Royce parked outside of the church and said on the day he was robbed, he and his wife had on $1 million worth of jewelry. What is Eric Adams having a lifetime pastor of that nature? What is it? Why are those two birds together? I don't know. You said Pastor Manning should be raising a question about the man's sexuality. But if he's a closet homosexual, then he's not promoting LGBTQ. Like Oprah Winfrey. She's a closet homosexual. And she won't promote. In other words, she thinks there's something ugly about LGBTQ. And so if Eric Adams is a closet homosexual, let me show you the car this boy drives. This is Eric Adams' pastor. Look at that, man. Look at that. That's Eric Adams' pastor. But he's been indicted for fraud and on his way to jail. But, I think he gave Eric up. I think he gave him up. At any rate, I'm rejoicing because I asked them for help. I asked Robin Vince for help, and none of them helped me. Now, Robin Vince has lost $100 billion in the year 2022 and losing more this year and could go to jail. Eric Adams under investigation by the FBI. They don't stop the mayor of the city of New York, tell his private detective service, whoever they are, their security, step aside. We're the FBI. And this thing is blown up all over everywhere now. Eric Adams is through. His career is over with. It's all over with Eric. And who knows what else that boy Bishop White has said about you. And at any rate, everybody, I'm rejoiced. I'm giving God the praise. I thank God that I can't wait to our victory. We got a $23 million suit against Eric Adams in the city of New York as well. Y'all pray for me. And I said this, that if you help me, you can rejoice when we get to victory. Now, the battle's intense. It's very intense. It's very intense. But you can rejoice with me when we get to victory. I'm James rejoicing David Manning on what's happening to the Mellon Bank and Robin Vince, and Eric Adams, the mayor of the city of New York. I'm the Lord's servant, and don't you ever forget it.